my good friend called to check on my daughter. My daughter had she was 11 last September, had a traumatic brain injury that resulted in a brain hemorrhage. And she was discharged from the hospital, and we were very blessed. It could have been a lot worse. And she went through hyperbaric oxygen. We did rehab, we did acupuncture. I've always been somewhat of a researchaholic. And so when traditional medicine kind of left us hanging, there wasn't a whole lot of things that they had to offer her. We kind of went out of the box, and she went back to school about part-time right before Christmas break and kind of did all the holiday parties, and then went back full-time in January. And her academics were struggling. And about that time, my husband and I said, oh my gosh, we have to do something else. And Dina called and said, hey, I've had just this miraculous response with my daughter, and she has a special needs daughter. And she said, if they can heal my daughter's brain, I think you should try them for your daughter's brain. And the researchaholic in me, started researching them. And that's probably my biggest regret, is I spent probably about 6 weeks digging into all of the clinical trials and reading the studies and listening to testimonial calls just like this one. And finally at the, I don't know, probably midpoint, my husband and I decided that it was something we had to at least give a try. So I had texted Dina, and I said, I think I asked her, I said, well, how much is this anyway? And she kind of said, well, let's talk. And I thought, oh boy, that's never a good sign. And was anticipating that it being a lot more expensive than what it was. And so when she told me the price, I thought, oh shoot, if you would have told me that, I would have just jumped on board probably probably a month before. I probably would have at least read some of the clinical trials. But anyway, I thought before I experiment on my 11-year-old, I would put him on myself. So I have scoliosis in my back, and so I have struggled with some low back pain. I'm not a medicine taker, despite being a pharmacist. I don't like to take any kind of medication. I feel like my job is always to tell people all the side effects and the reasons why maybe they should be careful. And so I tend not to take a lot of medication. And so I was sitting at my desk doing my chart reviews and whatnot from home, and having to sit with a TENS machine on because my back hurt so bad. And I wasn't getting relief from a chiropractor anymore. And, the funny thing is Dina asked if I needed anything. And I said, oh no, I'm perfect. Actually, I don't have any problems. I don't have anything. And she's like, okay. And so I tried them for the first week, the X39 and the Aeon, and I put them on my low back. So the X39 on my spine, and the Aeon kind of on my right loin, and kind of right where you put your hand on your hip. And about the third day of wearing the patches, I had just a dramatic improvement in my level of pain. I just thought, am I feeling something? Like, am I losing my mind, or am I actually feeling something working in these patches? And by the end of the first week, I couldn't find a sore spot. I was kind of putting them right on the point of pain, and I really couldn't find a sore spot. And so at the end of the week, I kind of thought, well, maybe I'm going to stay on these too. So I did, and I started Elena on them. And so it was kind of an accident that I started the patches, because I had no intention of spending $100 a month on myself. And so pretty much that's how I got started in them. And Dina told me a little bit about the business aspect of it. And I said, oh no, that is not for me. I will not be doing the business part of it. I have no desire to do that. And she said, well, you just wait. When you get your miracle, you won't be able to help yourself, and you'll have to share your story. And so here I am. I just started my basically 5th month of the patches, and I don't think I'll be going without them anytime soon. I've experimented on myself a little bit, and I can skip a day or two, even once in a while, 3 or 4. But boy, by that 5th day, I am reminded how bad I used to feel. So I don't like to skip days. I don't like to be inconsistent. It's one of the things I counsel people on is, hey, be consistent. Make sure that you're wearing them every single day as you're supposed to. Don't skip. You're not going to get the same results if you're not consistent. But some of my background is I live here in Arizona, and as a transplant Arizona person, I came from Michigan. I got valley fever really bad. I was one of the lucky or unlucky 1% that get a nodule. And so I had a valley fever nodule burst in my right lower lobe. And I ended up with a pretty decent size 1 centimeter calcification. My original nodule was 4.2 centimeters. So the nodule stays, it's kind of like a scar, or on an x-ray, it looks like a tumor in your lung. And that left me with some shortness of breath, difficulty, like sometimes with exercise-induced type asthma, very reactive lungs. So if I walk through cigarette smoke or even trick-or-treating and everybody with their fire pits out here in Arizona, I would cough and hack and wheeze for weeks after any kind of exposure to that. So, and with valley fever, you can't take any steroids. So, so it's kind of just left with scarred lungs, I guess. I also had low thyroid, so I took thyroid medicine, and you know, being in my 40s, every year it seemed like the scale and I kind of had a more weighty relationship. Not that I've ever been a super heavy person, but just, you know, the scale kind of creeped up there. You know, I've always been active and exercise, but I just really just couldn't ever lose any weight. So I started patching, and I started with X39 and the Aeon on my back. And then we had that awesome kind of summer special where you got an SP6 for free. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And I started wearing the SP6, and probably about between a week and 10 days in, I like kind of accidentally forgot my thyroid medicine. And I kind of about a week after forgetting it for a week, I just decided, well, I haven't noticed that I wasn't taking it, so I stopped taking it. And I'm a numbers person. I'm very lab value oriented. And I went and got my blood work done about 8 weeks after being off the thyroid medicine. And my blood work was all better than it had been last summer. So, so that was a happy accident with the patches. And of course, my low back is feeling much better. I mean, I pretty much don't have any back pain unless I do something to deserve it. Other than that, I have no back pain. The other kind of cool thing is we were sitting around the campfire up north at our cabin, and my husband looked over at me and he goes, "You haven't been wheezing lately." And I was like, "Oh, actually, you're right. I haven't even been carrying my rescue inhaler. I don't wheeze anymore. I don't get short of breath. I exercise without any difficulty." And so that also has been kind of a happy accident. My daughter, the most amazing part, and probably the most, you know, part that I'm the most thankful for, is that she wore the patches for about 2 months, so April and May, and we had gotten her state testing. Our school district does it, I think it's like the end of February, first part of March, right before spring break. And she was around 60%. She was struggling about 60% in all of her core subjects. And that's unusual. She was kind of an all A student prior to her accident. And so we started patching her. She was using very consistently the Aeon and the X39, and then more or less consistently the Elevata, probably not 7 days a week, but maybe 4 days a week, mostly the 4 days that I would remember, to do it at night. And she was struggling in school. She, like I said, about 60%, and she was struggling to sleep. And she, in 2 months, well,
Okay,
really
the same thing.
Yeah, really about her first night on the patches, she slept through the night, which was a nice gift to me because then she slept through the night, I got to sleep through the night. And in 2 months, she went from, like I said, barely getting 60% to she ended up getting 95% or better on all 4 of her core subjects for her final grades. So we had a dramatic improvement. She was more noise tolerant. She had less headaches. We still have a little bit of struggles with headaches and not really noise sensitivity so much, but maybe just the feeling of being a little overwhelmed. And again, I'm gonna say it's a lesson that I learned the hard way is in being consistent, is because I let her kind of take the summer off. She was doing so well, and so I didn't patch over the summer. And we just went back to school, and I was like, we need to start the patches again. So we just started the patches again when she went back to school here about 3 weeks ago, and I can already tell a difference. So it's been a bit of a miracle for our family. And just like Dina said, when you get your miracle, you won't be able to help yourself from sharing with others. And 1, that's why I'm here today. And 2, it has just transformed my life. I've always been a patient advocate and been very, I guess, I take very personally the care of my friends and my family and my patients. And this product has just been a blessing to everyone I know. I've had just the most amazing results with my friends and my family. It's just been wonderful. So I'm so thankful that we have these patches, and I really believe that this is the future of medicine. I think that we are kind of at the cusp of something magical here. I think it's wonderful. So do you have any, do you have any other questions?
That was that was just so wonderful. I mean, all the different things it's done for your daughter, for you, and just let's say 5 months you've been using the patches, and then you were noticing massive pain relief in 3 days.
Yeah.
And then your daughter, like the academic, the difference, you can tell that it's working and making a difference in her brain. Like that's so huge that you can see it on her grades, you see the difference, and she probably knows the difference also.
Oh, even, we went back to school about 3 weeks ago, and she was struggling even in, the second or third day of math class, and she was already overwhelmed and frustrated. And she's like, Mom, I can't do this. I can't do this math class. And she's in an honors class, because we push our kids. So she's in an honors class math, and she's like, I don't think I can do this. I don't remember these things. And really, right, the back to school, meet the teacher night, she was just overwhelmed by, the number of kids in the school, and she switched from, K through 6 to 7 through 12. And so she was overwhelmed and kind of intimidated. And so I said, oh, I think we need to go back on the patches. And then, kind of being a irresponsible mom, I didn't go home and slap one on her. I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to start doing that. And then, next thing I know, we're 4 or 5 days into school, and she's been struggling with her math, and literally putting the patch on a couple of days later, all of a sudden I said, where's your math homework? Oh, I did it in school. And so I pull up her grades, and sure enough, she's done all of her homework, and she's gotten 100% on her math assignments, and she's doing it all in school.
Which patches were you using for her exactly, for your daughter? Which patches?
Yeah. So she consistently is wearing X39 and Aeon. Those are my 2 favorite. Yeah. And then occasionally we'll do an Elevata.
Wonderful. And for you, someone was asking, where did you place for your scoliosis, for your back pain? Where did you say you placed the patches? Someone said, where on your body were you using the patches?
Yeah. So for myself, I'll recommend X39 on the spine. So, typically it can go on the back of the neck. I put it on the base, down where my pain is, my low spine. And then I put the Aeon, kind of where your thumb goes when you put your hand on your hip. So in the loin, in that tender, that tight muscle there in your back, that's where I wear the Aeon.
You're putting it just right there on the point of pain.
Point of pain. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Yeah.
Well, that was